Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. Stephen A. Smith has been that dude trumpeting this thing of, oh, Ant-Man, he the next face of the NBA. He the next face of the NBA. You know, he reminded me of Michael Jordan. He reminded me of Kobe Bryant and blah, 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 blah. And us Jordan and Kobe fans out here like, son, what is you talking about? What is you talking about? I've watched Kobe. I've watched the young Kobe. I've watched the young Jordan. I'm not seeing that right now. Yeah, there may be some little things about it, but we're not really seeing it. But Stephen A. Smith he acts like as if his opinions is the truth. So whatever he says, his opinion must stand. And whenever he's called out on his opinions or the narratives that he himself tries to push, all of a sudden it becomes a big thing. So what happened? Today on ESPN First Take, you had a panel of Jay Williams, Chris Russo, Stephen A. Smith, and I believe Brian Windhorst. So they're talking about this Minnesota Timberwolves series or whatever, because I think they're going to be playing game 5 tonight, and it's an elimination game for the Wolves. And they were reacting to some comments that Ant-Man said about, man, I made the right plays and all of that stuff. I made the right plays. Meanwhile, he finished the game with 6 assists and 5 turnovers. Talking about he made the right plays. Clearly, he didn't make enough right plays, and a lot of people were not happy with him, given the fact that he only attempted 13 shots. So in the midst of all of that, Chris Mad Dog Russo jumps up, and he starts brutalizing Stephen A. Smith for his insane Ant-Man comments about him being the face of the league. And he's saying that you're just so out of bounds and out of touch with reality for even saying that. And they went into this entertaining back and forth between the two of them. So take a listen to these guys here.
Brian, you are completely right. These two are lost. If there was a scenario at the end of that game, and remember, Minnesota never had the ball with the chance to take the lead. If there was a situation in Game 4 where he passed up the game-winning shot that thought about DiVincenzo, they'd be right. They scored whatever they scored. They shot the ball well. Do I love the comments after the game? He's 23 years old. And ESPN, more than anybody else, has put him on a pedestal, the face of the league, which is the biggest bunch of garbage I've ever heard in my life, and I think that hurts
That's
him.
not garbage.
Oh, yes, it is.
The brother's special.
Yes, it is. I don't want to hear about the
brother.
nonsense.
I agree with you on that.
Nonsense.
I agree with you on that,
The guy's never
doggy.
played in the final, was outshined badly by Luka, and all we ever do is say he's the next. No, he's not the face of the league. He plays in Minnesota, and they've never been in a final, and they almost got swept in a conference final last year. Let's take it easy. Will you please take it easy? Face of the league. That's LeBron. That's Bird. That's Jordan.
No.
That's a high
we
level.
Didn't say
He's
he
not
was.
at that level.
We didn't say he was. We didn't say he was.
The next face of the league. Stop with the next face of the league.
The next.
Oh, nonsense. This next face. Win something. Win something.
If you
can say that. Win something.
Oh, please. Whatever.
Win something.
Be quiet.
You be quiet. I'm talking now.
This is who he sent home. This is who he sent home. He sent home Kevin Durant. He sent home Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Jokic, Jamal Murray, and now LeBron and Luka. I mean, damn. We can't say next. We can't say next. Hold on. We can't say next.
No, you can't.
We can't say next. Well,
No,
LeBron is second team All-NBA.
Because,
LeBron is second team All-NBA. He's still a superstar in this league. He's still a superstar in this league. LeBron didn't play like a superstar in this league.
Will you be quiet?
I agree.
So you heard the exchange between these two guys. What are my thoughts about this? Ant-Man is getting exposed, folks. If there's anybody that's going to be the face of the league, Ant-Man ain't one of them. I'm sorry. You can't talk your way into the face of the league, man. At the end of this series, nobody should be saying that Ant-Man should be ahead of SGA in terms of face of the league. Now, people will say, oh, SGA is a better team. SGA is the better player. And he's a major reason his team is so good. He's the better player. Ant-Man ain't out there just playing with nobodies. He playing with DiVincenzo. He playing with Rudy Gobert. He playing with Julius Randle. He playing with Mike Conley. Like, let's stop the nonsense. He got all-stars on his team, too. He got Defensive Player of the Year recipients on his team, too. Like, what are we talking about right now? And what Chris Russo is saying, let him win something first before you bestow that moniker upon him. And based on how things are trending, SGA is on his way there faster. My thing is, why does everybody got to jump out the window? Shout out to Paul Pierce. He another one. 2 rounds ago, Nikola Jokic having the greatest run since Michael Jordan. This round, SGA is having the greatest run since Michael Jordan. Like, yo, bro, can y'all just relax with it? Can y'all just relax? Can somebody, and this is the problem, because whenever you start elevating people that haven't won anything, all of a sudden now winning doesn't matter anymore. How can you be the face of the NBA and you ain't winning nothing? You ain't looking like you winning something. And I guess Stephen A. Smith's point with LeBron and all of that stuff. But look, man, LeBron wasn't going to get that respect until he won a title. That's why he scurried and ran over to Miami and they created a super team. Because he knew nobody respected him. You can call him the face if you want. Ain't nobody respect him. You ain't even got a ring to your name, bro. Nobody respects you. You just out here having affirmations in front of the mirror every morning. Talking about I'm the GOAT, I'm the great. Nah, bro. You got to have some jewelry. You got to have some substance to it. And as far as I know, SGA going to be the face of the league at the end of this year, man. Because them Thundercats ain't playing. And Chris Mad Dog Russo essentially reached his breaking point. But it wasn't just him. Because you heard Jay Williams chime in as well. Now, I don't know what this need is to make Ant-Man the face of the NBA, because Ant-Man be saying some wild you-know-what. Right? He be saying some wild stuff. But in terms of a basketball player, their player's better than him. And one of them is in this series right now. Like, we got to give it up where it's due. Let's not be haters to that degree. Oh, nah, he from Canada, so I don't want to give it up like that. Nah, don't be a hater, bro. Don't be a hater. If he's nice, he's nice. Give him his props. And Chris Mad Dog Russo just called Stephen A. Smith out for his nonsense. Like, your opinion isn't the only opinion. Same thing with that David Falk comments when he didn't put LeBron in his top 5 or top 10. If you don't have LeBron in your top 5 or top 10, that's unacceptable. That's your opinion. That's your opinion. And then he had to change his tune when Michael Wilbon came on there. Like, so you're telling me if I don't have LeBron in my top, bro, it's just your opinion. And there are people out there that disagree with it. And Mad Dog's point is there is nothing to substantiate. You're talking about he beat this guy, he beat that guy, he beat this guy. What has he won? What has he won? You're talking about winning series. We're talking about, does he have a championship on his resume? And as far as I know, SGA looks like he is well on his way, unless Indiana pulls off the upset of the millennium. So I think Chris Mad Dog Russo is 100% right. I'm glad that he called out Stephen A. Smith on it. Stephen A. Smith be talking like as if his opinions are the law of sports. Like, these, I've said it and that's what it is. And if you disagree with me, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Man, stop that nonsense. Anyway, guys. There's been this kind of back and forth that has been going on in the media, and as a result of that, between fans, which is, who should be the next face of the NBA? Who's going to be the next face of the NBA? And a lot of this conversation is driven by ESPN. They're the ones that kind of push this narrative on a daily basis. And the one particular person that they keep naming to be the face of the NBA is SGA, right? Anthony Edwards. Now, some of the reasons I've heard for people saying that Ant-Man should be the face of the NBA or is the next face of the NBA is, number one, because somehow, some way he reminds them of Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan. He's bravado, he's outspoken. To some people, they say he's charismatic, or his style of play, he plays with flair and athleticism. Blah, 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 blah. And a lot of people have been saying, just recently, even Kendrick Perkins said, if Anthony Edwards wins the championship, he's going to become the face of the NBA, whether he likes it or not. So there's been this conversation around it. I think it's also fair to point out that a lot of people are not fans of Anthony Edwards. A lot of people are not fans. We're not going to sit up here and lie. A lot of people, they don't like the fact that he talks so much without proving anything. A lot of people were not a fan of his MJ comments and Kobe comments. A lot of people are not a fan of some of the stuff he says. Like, some of the stuff he gets fined for is crazy. Like the stuff he said at the Lakers game. A lot of people are not cool with that. A lot of people don't find that to be endearing, right? They're like, bro, what are you doing, right? So remember, if you're going to be the face of the NBA, to a certain extent, you have to be a role model. To a certain extent, whether you like it or not, that's the reality. And when you're known for saying these kind of crazy things, saying one thing or the other, it's just not going to play over well with some people, especially people that have kids. That's the reality of the world, right? Some people love it, other people don't. My thing has always been, I get that Ant-Man is a great player, but I think there are players that are better than him. And I think the player that he's playing against right now in this series is better than him, and that person is SGA. As a matter of fact, we put up a poll on our channel just yesterday. A few thousand people voted, and the question was, who should the NBA make the face between these two players? Of the 3,000 voters, 65% said SGA, 35% said Ant-Man, which now brings me to the meat and potatoes of today's show. So yesterday, there was a game between the Indiana Pacers and the New York Knicks that was being carried or covered by TNT. And I believe during halftime, or it might have been halftime or the end of the game, I'm just going to assume it's halftime, they were talking about things around the league. And Charles Barkley, who y'all know, he's outspoken. He's going to say what he thinks and to hell whatever anybody else thinks. Charles Barkley decided to call out his next employer in ESPN for essentially always trying to push Anthony Edwards is the face of the NBA over SGA. And I'm like, bro, this is beautiful, because this is exactly what we're going to get when Charles Barkley joins ESPN. So what we want to do is going to play what Charles had to say. His comments are fairly short, and then we're going to come back and react to his comments. Take a listen to Charles Barkley here.
Everybody talking Chuck about Anthony Edwards and the answer that he gave to that question. Julius Randle had 5 points on 1 out of 7 shooting.
I told you going back, I was concerned about Julius Randle because the way Coach Finch treated him in Game 2, I was a little concerned where his confidence level was going to be. But it's not his fault because he was playing well. But this is a really, really good. Listen, I told you guys 3 weeks ago, this is the Oklahoma City Invitational. Whoever they come out the East, they're going to beat the hell out of them. Beat the hell out of them. The Oklahoma City Thunder are going to win the championship. And anybody want to bet me any amount of money, come to my damn house because I can afford it. OKC is the best team in the NBA. I've been telling y'all that for 2 months. Hey, ESPN, I love you guys. Don't try to make Anthony Edwards the face of the NBA. The face of the NBA is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Joker, and Giannis. You can't give it to people. They have to take it. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is taking it.
So you heard what Charles had to say. What are my thoughts about this? Look, folks, if I had to choose a young star to be the next face of the NBA, and I had to choose between these two guys, I'm going for SGA. The first reason I'm going for SGA is because I think he's a better player. And I think we're seeing that. Now, some people are saying, oh, SGA has a greater team. Yeah, he's one of the reasons why. He's one of the reasons why. Like, he is one of the driving reasons why. Yeah, J-Dub is an all-star and all of that. He's a great player. But it ain't like as if Ant-Man ain't got all-stars over there. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Rudy Gobert has been an all-star. I think 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. Julius Randle has been an all-star. So it's not like as if Ant-Man is just out there on an island. He got Mike Conley. He got all of these other McDaniels. So it's not like as if he's just out there playing with a bunch of nobodies. The fact of the matter is, I think SGA is better than Ant-Man by the eye test, by the stats. It's clear. I wrote something on the channel yesterday, which was, what is clear, SGA is on another level above Anthony Edwards. SGA is scoring against elite defenders. Ant-Man is not. SGA is playing under control at his own speed. Ant-Man looks rushed on everything. SGA is much better. And when you watch these games beyond the stats, which we're going to get into, you can clearly see who has mastered the game to a higher degree. SGA pretty much gets any shot that he wants. The defense is constantly trying to rush him, and it doesn't work. They put bigger guys on him like McDaniels. He can score against him. They put smaller guys but are very, very quick like Anthony Edwards. He's scoring on them. right? They've showed him a bunch of different coverages, and all he's been able to do in the Western Conference Finals is average 30.8 points per game, 8.3 assists, and 4.8 rebounds. That's what he's doing. On the other hand, Oklahoma City is the best defensive team in the NBA, but Ant-Man is Ant-Man, and Ant-Man is being restricted to 24.3 points per game, 8.3 rebounds, 6.7 assists. And I think the last game, no, it's even lower than that, but I think the last game he played, he had, what was the last game he played? The last game he played, he had 16 points, right? 16 points. And a lot of people were going off on him for some of his commentary at the end of the game. You know, I made the right plays and all of that. Like, don't nobody want to hear that. And one of the reasons why people don't want to hear that is because you don't talk like that. And to me, I'm somebody that's kind of seen through the Ant-Man show. I feel like Ant-Man is more talk than results. He's good, but he ain't better than some of these other dudes. And I think it's absolutely insane to say that Ant-Man is the face of the NBA when he's playing in a series with another young guy, another young star, who is clearly better than him. Clearly better than him. And people are looking for every kind of reason to not give it to SGA. Oh, you know, SGA is older. Oh, SGA plays on a better team. SGA has, I don't know, like braids. Like, yo, anything they can come up with. To me, SGA is the best player. And if there's anybody considering one of these guys for the face of the NBA, it should be SGA. Like, let's not play around. SGA is on his way to the finals, bro. Like, what are we talking about right now? Like, give it to the people that is actually putting forward the results instead of the people you just like. These are my thoughts. As you guys know, the Minnesota Timberwolves got beat again, right? To find themselves now, I believe, in a 3-1 deficit against the Oklahoma City Thunder. In the last game that they played, I believe SGA in that game scored something like 40 points. Right now, he wasn't ultra efficient, but he was very aggressive in that game. But going into this series, it's been SGA versus Anthony Edwards, the next potential face of the NBA. And a lot of people are like, are we sure we want to crown this guy as the face of the NBA? So he goes into that game. Ant-Man ends up finishing the game with what? What did he finish that game with? 16 points on 38% shooting, 14% shooting from the three, and he only attempted 13 shots to SGA, who attempted 30 shots. So at the end of the game, Ant-Man is basically saying, I had a great game. You know, I thought I played a smart game. You know, I made the right play. I made the right read. So I don't see what the issue is with me. I mean, I had a great game. You know, I had 16, 6 assists and all of that. And people are like, you can't be serious. With all that talking, your counterpart on the other side, on the other team, scores 40, and you're talking about you had a great game. So people started roasting him. So today on the ESPN First Take, they had a panel of Stephen A. Smith, Brian Windhorst, Jay Williams, and I think and Chris Mad Dog Russo. So they're talking about this. And then Brian Windhorst decides to interject LeBron James into this about how he's having he's traumatized because this is the same thing that LeBron James went through. And let me tell you guys something. When Jay Williams responded to him, he absolutely destroyed him for his pro LeBron James comments. So for those of you who didn't hear that exchange, I want to play it for you now. And I'm going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to Jay Williams here, flame broiling Brian Windhorst.
What's your response to what Stephen A. had to say about Ant's performance in Game 4?
I've got PTSD from LeBron James, his first conference finals back in 2007, when he got double teamed in the paint frequently by a great Detroit Pistons defense, and he would kick the ball to open teammates who were not as good as the teammates that Ant Edwards now has on the Timberwolves, and him getting roasted for that. And I'm scarred. I'm scarred from that because I watched a game where the Timberwolves really had a terrific offensive game. They had 126 points. They shot over 50%. In the fourth quarter of this game, they scored 41 points against one of the best defenses of the last decade, if not more. They double teamed him 100% of the time he penetrated and drove the ball. Their entire apparatus was designed at forcing him to give it up. He gave it up, and their offense thrived. Now, if you want to say, Stephen A. or Mad Dog, that you think that he could have had a bigger impact on the game, that he could have done some things to put more of his stamp on it, I don't disagree with that. But I can't get frustrated with a player who helped his team play brilliant offense by making smart basketball decisions. I will point out that Julius Randle was 1 of 7 in this game with 5 turnovers, and that Randle is averaging 3 assists in this series, and one of the big things they got to do tonight is get the ball out of Ant's hands so he can operate with more space. But I cannot criticize Ant for leading to great offensive basketball by his team.
Well, Anthony Edwards had 5 turnovers too. So he had 6 assists, 5 turnovers. I know making the right play is the right thing to do most of the time. I often say, and I've had this happen, and I've seen great players talk about it. There's one thing, especially for a guy like Anthony Edwards, right? It was one of the earlier games where he had 13 points and he barely took any shots in the game, and we talked about being more active. So, like, I am going to say that whenever you're a great player, when you're on the verge of becoming a great player, every time that you don't impact winning, your game is going to struggle. I mean, I just want you to think about it for a second. The visual, and you could say keeping it real, whatever it is, of me after a loss saying, well, I don't think I really had a bad game, or I don't think I really struggled. I made the right play. How does that come across, Wendy?
Yeah, he didn't take much heat from that.
How does that come across when you are the star
I don't
player?
care about his quotes.
What do you mean? That's what we're talking about. That's the whole point of the conversation. When your lead player, your star, your dog, who is talking and built into everything, then after a game, that's the bigger point to me, says, well, I don't think I struggled.
Why did they lose the game?
Excuse me?
Jay, why did they lose the game? Why did they lose the game?
I'm not saying he's the main point or the main reason why they lost the game, Brian. I'm just saying when you're the lead dog, when you say, you got to think about how that sounds. You got to think about where you are from a leadership perspective. Right. You can't say that. You are him. If you're going to be him, him is inclusive of everything. You know what I mean, Stephen A?
What should he have said in that moment, Jay? Like, how should he have handled that as the leader?
We all need to be better. I need to be better. Like, it's just little things like that. You don't say, I didn't struggle. You know, that's not how I determine struggle. They were in gaps. It then sounds like you're being passive. That's not what you want from your lead guy.
So you heard what he had to say. What are my thoughts about this? Brian cannot be serious. When LeBron did it then, we didn't agree with it then. And we don't agree with it now. That's number one. Number two, don't nobody want to hear something about I made the right play all throughout the night when you had 6 assists and 16 points. It's not like it's if you finished the game with 15 assists. You had 6 assists and 5 turnovers. So your net assists was 1. And you're talking about you made the right plays. You had 5 turnovers. But personally, what I think is happening here is that I think Ant-Man is being exposed. I think Anthony Edwards is being exposed. Ant-Man is more talk than walk. He talks a good game. He can talk you into believing he's Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan, but when it comes time to actually put forward the results, he can't do it. He simply can't do it. We already did comparisons between Ant-Man and when he was around the same age as Kobe Bryant and Michael. There's nothing like it in terms of their production. Now, I'm not saying Kobe was Michael Jordan when he was young. No, but a young Kobe? A young Kobe was number 8 Kobe. Number 8 Kobe. Do you see anything like this right now? Reminding you of number 8 Kobe? If anything, we're talking about SGA, and SGA doesn't have the defensive prowess for me to put him in that category, although he does other things. He does other things. But in the case of Anthony Edwards, and then you up there talking about this will LeBron, like, don't nobody want to hear that. This is the thing that people don't seem to. We don't want to hear this. Oh, I made the right play. How could you have made the right play and you lost? You clearly didn't make enough right plays, so otherwise you lost. Oh, I made the right play. I made the right read. No, you couldn't get shots. Look at how the defense was cocked towards SGA. SGA was finding gaps in the defense and still finding ways to get up shots. Go back and watch the game footage. Anthony Edwards looked rushed on almost every single offensive possession. Whereas SGA was playing under control. He was smooth as a fan. He wasn't ultra efficient, but he was able to get up 30 shots. And what people are talking about right now is you were attempting like 3 shots a quarter. Bro, that ain't playing the right game. That ain't making the right play. The right play is also you getting up shots because you give your team the best opportunity to score on the other side, score every time going down the court. That's what they were talking about. But you can't talk about you made the right plays and you finished that game with 6 assists and 5 turnovers talking about I made the right plays. You did not. And I'm very happy that Jay Williams called him out on his pro LeBron James comments because this is the stuff that they try to force down our throats every single day and we just fed up of it. So shout out to today we got an interesting one, right? We got an interesting one because it's centered on some comments that have been constantly being made during these NBA playoffs by Doris Burke of ESPN. Now, as you guys know, a number of years ago, ESPN had some pretty heavy hitters in terms of the people that would cover the games. People like Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy, who I think the vast majority of us loved. Mark Jackson had the phrase "hand down, man down." Like it was just like those guys were great. Jeff Van Gundy would always keep it a stack. He would always call out things he didn't like, ridiculous rules and all of that. Then they were just abruptly let go of during some cord cutting that took place at ESPN. We later on found out that apparently NBA Commissioner Adam Silver wasn't a fan of Jeff Van Gundy constantly criticizing the NBA on live TV, right? So they shifted. They decided to go in a different direction. At one point, they had JJ Redick on there. JJ Redick ultimately moved on to start coaching the Lakers, and then subsequently, you hear names like Doris Burke, Richard Jefferson, and others pop up. But during these playoffs, Doris Burke, I think her current series that she's covering is the Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. And apparently she's been making some comments that have been turning off a lot of NBA fans to the point where this now has become a story. So this morning I was going through the internet and I came across an article from the U.S. Sun saying the following: Finals flop, her worst game yet. NBA fans left fuming by Doris Burke's controversial live TV remarks during Thunder Timberwolves games. The article then continues on. ESPN broadcaster Doris Burke left fans disappointed with her commentary on Monday night. Burke was on color commentary for the game 4 matchup between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Wolves. It continues on. Doris Burke left fans baffled with strange commentary during the Western Conference Finals. It says, the Thunder took home the win in a 128-126 game, taking a 3-1 lead in the Western Conference Finals. It was an exciting matchup, but many fans couldn't help but focus on Burke's strange commentary. At one point, she broke down a play between Rudy Gobert and a member of the French national team, and Isaiah Hartenstein, who has German roots. And I don't know much about history, but I know the French and German don't like one another, Burke said. And Rudy was, bonjour, Mr. Hartenstein, have a little bit of that left-handed dunk. The commentary even left play-by-play announcer Mike Breen confused. What are you trying to start here, he asked. Burke was probably referring to the world wars in which France and Germany fought on opposing sides. The quip wasn't the only line from Burke that left fans unhappy. She also took aim at SGA during the Thunder's win. After drawing a foul, Burke said that it was why he was called a free throw merchant. SGA is known for his ability to draw fouls, but he is also this year's MVP and deserves much more respect on a national broadcast. Fans didn't appreciate Burke's Game 4 commentary and shared their thoughts on social media during the contest. Did Doris Burke just make a World War II joke? One fan said. Another fan said, cringe. And then it kept on. There's no way she should be saying this on air, a third fan said. They need to just unplug her mic, a fourth fan said. Doris Burke doesn't know much about anything, a fifth fan said. Exasperated fans won't get much of a respite from Burke's commentary after the Western Conference Finals. ESPN is carrying the NBA Finals this year, and Burke will be on call alongside Breen. So that's what that report had to say there. What are my thoughts about this? Look, The fact of the matter is, sometimes we say things that we are unaware can be deemed offensive to some people. And a lot of it usually takes place when you start getting into these type of commentaries when you're dealing with where people are from. Oh, like, he's French, bonjour. Or, sometimes you cross the line because maybe you're doing it to be humorous and say, oh, I'm just making a joke and blah, 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 blah. But at a certain point, people begin to find it offensive. I'm talking about the people that you're talking, or rather that you're referring to. They find it offensive. Secondly, I get that she's trying to make her commentary colorful, but sometimes it goes just a little bit too far, right? And I think that that's what some of the viewers are pointing out. Like, okay, like what are we doing here, right? What are we doing here? I think that another element of this is you're saying these kind of jokes or making these kind of jokes or whatever, these kind of comments about these people because they're foreigners. Would you be making these kind of comments if they were locals? Would you be saying this if one person hailed from a particular group or had came from a certain background or whatever? Would you be saying that? No, because then people start getting offended. Hey, what do you mean by this? What do you mean by that? If you start speaking in slang all of a sudden, like, yo, yeah, what's up? Of course you're going to upset some people, right? So if it's something that you yourself can be offended by, if they now just point it towards you, then there's a real possibility that some of what you're saying could be offensive to other people on the other side of it that maybe you don't understand. And I think that that's what some of these fans are pointing out. I think the other thing they were pointing out was there has to be more to your commentary than this. And when you juxtapose commentary like this versus what people like, as I said before, Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy, were given, you can then, understand that there's clearly a difference in terms of substance. Like Mark Jackson went back to the quote, hand down, man down. That is strictly basketball related stuff there, folks. Jeff Van Gundy pointing out some of the incongruities and refereeing and the rules. This is all basketball stuff. And it's still entertaining, right? It's still entertaining. Richard Jefferson, he can do that too. But it gets to a point where it's like, okay, what are we doing here? What are we talking about here? Now, some of this I didn't hear because I don't watch the games from like beginning to the end. Like commercials or whatever. So I kind of missed some parts of it. But, apparently some people heard it and, they were not fans of it. So the question then becomes this to the audience. Given the fact that people have voiced their concerns about Doris Burke's commentary, do you think that something should be done? Do you think that ESPN should take inventory of some of these criticisms and do something? Or do you think that, hey, look, man, she's just doing the best that she can? To me, this is not what has upset me. There are other things I've heard, like a lot of it from Reggie Miller. Reggie Miller be up there twerking, man. Not like in the playoffs, but any game involving LeBron James. Oh my God, bro. Including the Doris. Oh my God. It's just like, yo, bro. Like, bro, man. Like, come on, bro. Like, some of it is like, bro, what are you even doing? Why are you saying? Like, it's just the level of twercation from Reggie in some of these games. Like, that's some of the stuff that turns me off, right? Like, it's like, bro, come on. Like, it's almost like as if they are rooting for LeBron. Like, bro, like, I thought you guys were supposed to be calling the game. Y'all just up here, like, waving your pom-poms. But that's the stuff that annoys me.